if you thought the WSB storyline was winding down, you are dead wrong. I am hearing rumblings about a hospital room confrontation that is going to flip this entire narrative on its head. The level of deception we are about to witness is staggering, and it all revolves around a secret so massive it could tear Port Charles apart piece by piece. We need to talk about Valentine, Josslyn, and a dead man who might not be so dead after all. Right now, Josslyn is lying in that sterile hospital bed, recovering from a gunshot wound that nearly ended her young life. She is physically broken, but if you ask me, her spirit is what is truly fractured. She just brokered a massive deal with the head of the WSB, the infamous Z, to secure the freedom of Jason Morgan and Valentine. In doing so, she has essentially signed her soul over to the very agency that has caused so much pain and suffering for her loved ones. She thinks she has played the game and won, sacrificing her own future to protect the people she cares about. But what if she is about to find out that the game was rigged from the very start? Imagine the scene. The quiet beeping of the heart monitor is interrupted by the slow, deliberate footsteps of Valentine entering her hospital room. This is not a man who makes social calls just to bring a bouquet of flowers and wish someone a speedy recovery. Valentine always operates with a hidden agenda. He steps into that room, closes the door, and looks at the young woman who just traded her freedom for his. And then he drops the ultimate bombshell. He leans in close and tells Josslyn the horrifying truth. Ross Cullum is actually dead, but Cassius Faison is very much alive. Just let that sink in for a moment. According to this theory, Cassius did not perish as the town was led to believe. Instead, he accepted a dark, secretive deal with Z and is currently executing highly classified, off-the-books missions for the WSB far outside the borders of Port Charles. This means that the WSB, under Z's direct orders, deliberately orchestrated a massive cover-up. They intentionally faked Cassius' death, allowing the entire town, including his devastated sister Britt and the heartbroken little boy James, to believe he was a deceased villain, all while secretly employing him as their latest lethal asset. The immediate question that comes to my mind is, why on earth would Valentine decide to reveal this explosive secret to Josslyn? If you ask me, there are two distinct possibilities here, and both of them are dripping with classic soap opera drama. The first possibility is that Valentine is executing a brilliant, manipulative scheme to weaponize Josslyn against the WSB. Valentine is a master strategist. He knows that Josslyn is a brand new, somewhat naive agent who still operates with a strong moral compass. He understands that the moment she realizes she has been completely played by Z and the agency, her loyalty will shatter into a million pieces. By telling her the truth, Valentine could be intentionally planting a seed of deep, irreversible distrust. If Josslyn loses all faith in the WSB, she becomes a massive liability to Z, but a tremendous asset to Valentine. He could be trying to mold her into a secret ally from within the agency, someone who could unknowingly sabotage Z's future operations and create the perfect smokescreen for Valentine to pursue his own shadowy goals. It is a classic move for a man who has spent his entire life playing three-dimensional chess with people's lives. However, there is a second possibility that is much more personal and, frankly, much more emotional. What if Valentine is actually acting out of a profound sense of guilt? We all know that Josslyn entered into an unholy alliance with Z specifically to save Valentine and Jason from spending the rest of their lives in a federal prison. She gave up her dreams, her normal life, and her peace of mind to ensure their freedom. Valentine, despite his ruthless exterior, has a deeply ingrained sense of honor when it comes to the people who protect him and his daughter Charlotte. Perhaps Valentine looks at this young woman bleeding in a hospital bed because of a war she never should have been fighting, and feels that she simply deserves to know the truth. He might feel a heavy burden knowing that she sacrificed everything based on a foundation of lies. By giving her this information, he is handing her the power to see the board clearly, even if it means putting his own fragile freedom and Z's entire master plan in absolute jeopardy. It would be a rare moment of genuine vulnerability and gratitude from a man who usually keeps his heart locked away in a steel vault. Now, let us talk about the domino effect this revelation would trigger, starting with Josslyn's psychological state. If this theory plays out, Josslyn is going to be utterly devastated. The physical pain of her gunshot wound will pale in comparison to the agonizing realization that she has been a pawn in Z's sick game. But the trauma goes much deeper than just being lied to. The true horror for Josslyn will be the crushing guilt of realizing her own complicity in this massive deception. Think about what Josslyn had to do to secure her deal. She had to place the entire blame on Cassius, framing him for the chaos and the crimes, while simultaneously helping the WSB paint the deceased Ross Cullum as some sort of tragic hero to protect the agency's pristine reputation. She actively participated in destroying Cassius's legacy and breaking the hearts of the people who loved him, all because she believed it was the only way to save Jason and Valentine. Discovering that Cassius is actually alive and enslaved by the WSB would mean that she helped condemn a living man to a life of shadows and servitude. This immense, suffocating guilt could be the exact catalyst that fundamentally changes who Josslyn is as a character. She has always been fiercely protective, sometimes to a fault, but this betrayal would ignite a fire inside her that Z could never hope to control. Once she recovers from her injuries, I do not believe for 1 second that she will simply fall in line and become Z's obedient little spy. Instead, this revelation will push her to go completely rogue. She will smile to Z's face, accept her assignments, and pretend to be the perfect agent, all while secretly orchestrating the downfall of the very agency she works for. Imagine the absolute thrill of watching Josslyn transform into a double agent. She would use her newly acquired WSB security clearance, her training, and her insider access to meticulously hunt for any digital footprints, classified dossiers, or redacted mission reports that could lead her to Cassius' current location. She would be playing a terrifying game of cat and mouse with one of the most dangerous intelligence organizations on the planet. Every time she logs into a WSB server, every time she takes a covert meeting, she would be risking her life to undo the terrible wrong she helped commit. But in classic soap opera fashion, this vicious cycle of deception will inevitably threaten everyone around her. If Z even catches a whiff of her insubordination, the retaliation will be swift and merciless. Her actions will inadvertently place a massive target on the backs of her entire legacy family. Carly, who is already on a rampage trying to force Z to release Josslyn, would be pulled right back into the line of fire. Sonny, Jason, and Michael would all be dragged into a bloody war against the WSB to protect her. Josslyn's noble quest for redemption could easily trigger a domino effect of violence that Port Charles has not seen in decades. Yet, if she succeeds, the payoff would be one of the most monumental and emotional storylines in recent history. Josslyn's ultimate goal will not just be to expose the WSB, it will be to physically locate Cassius, extract him from whatever hellish covert operation Z has him trapped in, and bring him safely back home. She would transition from being the girl who helped frame him to the heroine who risks everything to save him. It is a redemption arc that would solidify her place as a true powerhouse character on this canvas. And guys, just picture the emotional magnitude of that eventual return. We have watched Liesel Obrecht suffer through unimaginable grief, demanding answers and desperately trying to clear Cassius's name. We have seen Britt Westbourne throwing violent fits in her jail cell, her heart completely shattered by the loss of her brother. We have witnessed Cody Bell having to sit down and break the soul of little James West, telling him that the man he loved was an imposter who is now dead. The pain rippling through that family is absolutely unbearable to watch. If Josslyn manages to navigate this deadly maze, outsmart Z, and bring Cassius walking through those doors, it would heal a fractured family in the most beautiful way possible. The tears, the shock, the overwhelming relief of Liesel, Britt, and James realizing that they have not lost him forever would be television gold. It would completely absolve Josslyn of her guilt and rewrite the history of this entire tragic saga, proving that even in a world dominated by spies and mobsters, the truth can still fight its way to the surface. So, as we brace ourselves for the upcoming episodes, we have to wonder, will Valentine actually pull the trigger and tell Josslyn the truth, setting off a chain reaction that could destroy the WSB from the inside out? Or will Z's manipulative grip prove too strong for even our bravest characters to break?